Are you ready to listen to my dad Joe and Uncle Justin talk about sports? Now on with the show!
The Joe Mays and J-Raff Show is brought to you by Mays Sandwich Shop, which have been serving the greater West Lawn area delicious food for over 70 years. You are listening to the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show.
Boring.
A weekly podcast about sports since 2011.
Don't you ever get tired of being wrong all the time?
With a focus on football.
Second and goal. Pass. Got it. Touchdown. This guy has had some year.
Al, I've got to tell you, in a pressure situation, I don't know if I have ever seen anybody be better than Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp. Wow, what a drive.
4th and 1. Burrow trying to keep it going, gets spun down, gets it away, and incomplete. Rams now running down to celebrate with a defensive play.
And guess who?
Of course.
I mean, you don't even have to think about it.
Pointing to the ring finger.
When everything was on the line for the Rams, yes, we know it was Aaron Donald.
But the Rams were built to win the Super Bowl, and they have sealed the deal.
Now, here are your hosts, Joe Mays and Justin Raffoff.
Pop and he'll be so happy.
So that may be the greatest almost start to the show ever. As well, we have a special guest. I'm gonna bring her in here because what I'm about to say will make no sense unless you see who it is. And there she is, the birthday girl, my daughter, Natalie, 10 years old today, making Justin and I feel really old.
Yeah.
That one hurts, Justin. 10, a whole decade down. But right before we got on the air, as the intro was
insane
playing,
when you say it that way. Oh my gosh,
a whole decade, one decade down, and many more to go. And as we're about to go live, Natalie says, "I really hope Dallas wins." And Justin just let out an audible gasp and like, So that was very funny. Thank you for that comic relief.
I said I want the Cowboys to win, but I feel like the 49ers are going to win. And he's just like,
Well, it's 9-9 in the third quarter. So we'll keep an eye on that game. And we're going to briefly talk about a few of the other games. But we have you here this evening because, well, you've been really getting into football over the last 2 months. And one of the things you wanted for your birthday was just a book about football. So,
but I got a trivia book for football.
Right. So it's called Big Book of Who, the football edition. It's part of the Sports Illustrated Kids line of books. And this morning, after she opened it, she was quizzing mostly me, but Mommy was there for a bit too. Kelly was answering some questions. But we're going to try our hand at trivia here as we watch Cowboys 49ers. And also, if we run out of trivia, we are going to talk about the other games because yesterday we had 2 games played and we found out a few other teams that are making the championship games, which are the Kansas City Chiefs, who beat the Jacksonville Jaguars with the help of friend of the show, Chad Henne, once again.
Yeah, that was awesome to see.
Yes, that was super cool. You're wearing your
I am.
Anything is possible shirt.
I have one of them on right here. I said tomorrow would be a good day to wear the Wilson Anything is Possible to school. So Chad leading the Chiefs on a 98-yard touchdown drive, which was awesome. Longest scoring drive in postseason history for the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Now has Chad Henne attached to it.
I was awed, and I was like, I'm in the middle of playing with my sister, and when Patrick Mahomes got injured, I was like, oh, they're going to put Henne in. I knew that snap right away. And then I was saying earlier, like, my dad knows a guy who knows Patrick Mahomes.
I said, is that 2 degrees?
Yes, it is.
So that's pretty cool. So But in addition to the Chiefs besting the Jaguars, we also had last night the Eagles dominating the Giants. So Philadelphia has punched their ticket to the NFC Championship game. They will play the winner of this game that we're watching right now. And like I said, it's 9-9 tie in San Francisco between the Cowboys and 49ers. Earlier today, we found out who the Chiefs will be playing in the AFC Championship game.
And where the game will be played.
And because the Bengals upset the Bills, it will not be neutral field in Atlanta. It will be at Arrowhead, or what used to be called Arrowhead, in Kansas City.
Yeah, I didn't even know that had changed until I saw like the press stuff yesterday, like the press conference stuff.
Yeah, I don't even know how to say it. Gaia?
Right.
It's Geha.
Stadium, Arrowhead Field or something. Or something field at Arrowhead or
right.
something like that.
So Chad Henne, the Chiefs, in it for a 5th straight year. Chad Henne, as a player, though, in it for a 6th straight year. And I almost tweeted out yesterday that was an NFL record, but I did not know if it was. Last year, we did some searching and could come up with many people that had played in 4 in a row.
Right.
Then we thought we may have found a few that had played in 5 in a row, but I didn't go into the full research to see if anyone has ever played in 6 in a row. I don't believe any teams have ever made 6 in a row. So already, I don't think any team had made 5 in a row. I'm not sure the Patriots made a bunch. Did they make 5?
Not 5 in a row.
I don't think it was 5 in a row. So I don't even think Tom Brady has played in that many in a row. Chad is now appearing in his 6th straight AFC Championship game as you date to January 2018 with the Jacksonville Jaguars, who lost to the Patriots, but now the next 5 with the Kansas City Chiefs, who at times have also lost to the New England Patriots. But we don't have to worry about that this year. So we're all thankful for that, right? No Patriots we don't have to worry about that.
Thank you, Bills. No, thank you, Bills.
Yes, Natalie has adopted my fandom and rooting interests, as she knows to root against the Jets, Bills, and Patriots at all times. So I appreciate that. But well, Natalie, why don't we turn the floor over to you? Why don't you hit us with some trivia questions, some NFL trivia questions as we watch Cowboys 49ers. So what do you got for us first?
So this chapter is called Yardage Kings. So it's going to be like the records about who's run.
All right, I feel like you've already asked me a few of those, so we'll see what new ones come up.
Yep. All right. Who has the record for most receiving yards in one season?
Most receiving yards in one season. Well, I mean, at points this year, both Tyreek Hill and Justin Jefferson were chasing that record, I believe. Yeah. Neither of them, they kind of both cooled off enough at the end of the year that they didn't threaten it.
Even with an extra game.
Even with an extra game, right. So, most receiving yardage in a season. You think it's Calvin Johnson? No? Randy Moss?
If I had to guess, I would probably say Moss or Jerry Rice. Those would be
Well, Jerry Rice always comes up just because of his longevity, but I wasn't ever sure if he led the league in yardage. Right. I know he has a touchdown record. Again, a longevity goes a long way for that. So
his touchdown record is also like absurd. It's like an absurd record too. Like, I think I'm gonna go with Jerry Rice. Is my guess.
Right. Justin's saying Jerry Rice. I'm gonna say. Oh boy. I'll say Calvin Johnson.
Okay, Calvin Johnson is correct.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Megatron.
Nice. Shows where I'm at. I was like, no, it's not him.
No, it's
I don't
not
know
him.
who it is, but it's not that guy.
All right. Okay, good. So we got that one.
Yep.
So what's next?
You know what? That makes me even happier that Calvin Johnson is still the record holder for that.
Yeah.
I like, you know what's crazy? Calvin Johnson played at Georgia Tech.
I know. Not exactly your pass-first offense. All right, Natalie, what's our second trivia question?
Who was the first quarterback to rush for 1,000 yards in a season? One season.
Now, I feel like I want to jump in and say Michael Vick right away, but did anyone rush for 1,000 yards as a quarterback before him?
I don't think so.
Has he ever rushed for 1,000 yards as a quarterback?
I don't know that he has.
Boy. I feel like I've been watching. There's this really cool TikTok account where a guy just sits there and they ask him these questions, but he has to name like the top 10. They're like, who are the top 10 in this? And he has to, and a lot of times he's just pulling out names and they're not on the list.
Right,
but-
and not having to be like, oh, so and so is third is different than just be like, because you do have a range.
Yeah.
I would probably guess Vic, but I
right.
don't.
We're gonna say Michael Vick.
Yes.
It was Michael Vick. All right, hey,
Vick.
that's not too
Dude,
bad for
those
us. That's not too bad.
Michael Vick. Remember the commercial where it was like the roller coaster / video game thing where like he was just running crazy in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Man, that was wild. You couldn't see, like, hadn't seen anything like that before.
All right, so what is question number 3, Natalie?
Who is the only player to lead the NFL in rushing for 5 straight seasons?
5 straight. Barry Sanders.
That would have to be my guess.
Barry Sanders.
No.
Oh no! Oh, your dad said he got one. He got one of them right.
All right.
So,
Which one did he get right?
I'm not sure. He just commented, so I'm gonna say maybe the Mike Vick one, not the Calvin, the Megatron one. 5 straight years to lead the league in rushing.
So let's see.
So now I'm thinking, I thought for sure it was gonna be Barry Sanders, but yeah. So
his team was so bad.
So your dad said he got the Michael Vick one.
Okay. What about, could this go way back? Could it be like Jim Brown?
Well, that's one of the questions that we can ask. We can say like time periods is like recent or past.
Okay.
So do we want to we want to use one of our lifelines? We want to narrow the question down.
Yeah, we'll narrow
Yeah,
it
you
down.
get 3 hints per question.
Right.
I don't have to phone my friend because he's right here.
Right,
The person I would ask.
Right. The person that I would use to help this question is sitting here with me. So, all right. Well, anyone in the chat? Okay, here we got it. So I was also going to possibly say Emmitt Smith. He came to mind, but your dad also hit on one that also was in there. Was Jim Brown?
I think I would probably guess Jim Brown first. Here's the thing: Jim Brown only played.
I know
he
he only played for 8 or 9 years, right?
Which honestly,
but he was
8 or 9
dominant
years,
when he played.
Right. I think it's Jim Brown.
Do we want to narrow it down before we get the buzzer, like the you got it wrong buzzer? Do we want to see?
Oh my gosh, what a catch by Kittle.
Or era. We could ask for the just say
let's
modern.
Let's ask.
All right,
like
Natalie, did this happen
in our lifetime?
Yeah, since 1990 to now, or before 1990?
Like something. Do you want me to give this specific year or
Just tell us like the decade that it happened in.
decade?
Does it list?
It's in between 2 decades.
Okay, do we just say both of them then? Like say 67.
1950s, late 1950s, early 1960s.
Late 50s into the early 60s.
I don't know that Jim Brown's that old.
I was thinking. I was thinking he was in the 60s, not late 50s in the 60s.
Although it could have started if it was like 59.
Yeah,
to
that's
64.
That's true.
I think I'm gonna go Jim Brown.
Jim Brown.
But I just because if it's not him, I still don't know who I pick from that era. You know
Maybe
what I mean?
it's Lenny Moore.
But I think Lenny Moore's before that.
Right. Yeah. Well.
But that would be incredible.
Okay, we'll say Jim Brown.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Yes,
Good job. Your dad nailed it. That was a good one.
Who was watching?
So we've got 10 viewers right now for sure. Pop-Up's probably watching.
Yes, hi Pop-Up.
Pastor Jeff is watching. Uncle Rich is watching. So
Hi,
I'm sure he was
Rich.
happy that we made fun of his Patriots like always. So, all right, hit us with another one. What's the next trivia question?
Who was the first player to be the AP Offensive Rookie of the Year and later an NFL MVP?
Oh, man. Who was the first player to be AP Offensive Rookie of the Year and then eventually an MVP? Oh, Justin's mom is watching too, so say hi to Cheryl.
Hi, Cheryl.
Oh boy, offensive. Did you say offensive player of the year or offensive rookie of the year?
Offensive Rookie of the Year.
And then went to be Player of the Year.
And then, does it say if that happened in the same year? Were they Rookie of the Year and Player of the Year, or just you said went on to be? So I'm wondering.
Kelly's mom's watching too.
Oh,
hi,
Grandma's
Grandma.
watching.
Hi, Grandma.
All right, you're stumping us with this one. I'm not even really sure where to start. Oh, we're getting some happy birthdays for you now. Everyone's saying happy birthday.
Man, that's tough.
All right. I think we're gonna not phone a friend. We're gonna call in a lifeline. We're gonna ask for the team that they played for.
Team. All right. Here it is. Houston Oilers.
Ooh. Okay, is this like Warren Moon?
So here's the thing about Warren Moon is interesting because didn't Warren Moon play for the not the CFL, the
Well, he played for the Vikings.
Yeah, but he did. What did Reggie White do? They played in like the USFL or something first or something, didn't they? Or maybe Warren Moon was CFL. It was weird. They played in another league, I thought, first and then came over. So like, I don't know that might make it harder for him.
Or what about like Eddie George? He wasn't ever MVP though, was he? I could see him as being.
If he was,
rookie.
That's pretty crazy to win a Heisman and be an MVP. Like, not that
Yeah, I feel like that.
But
probably...
just that would be crazy.
I don't know where else to go besides.
Who's
the other Houston running? Earl Campbell.
Ooh, I would go with Earl Campbell.
You want to go with Earl Campbell?
Well, I mean, I'm just guessing until I'm gonna get one right.
The only names that come to my mind that could have worn the Houston Oilers uniform and had that kind of offensive prowess are Earl Campbell, Eddie George, and Warren Moon. Now, I very well could be forgetting someone, and maybe that's obvious. But anyone listening live, anyone want to put their guesses in the chat before we get Natalie to answer the question? I think we're going to go with Earl Campbell.
I think I'm going to go with Earl Campbell just because I think Warren Moon has that weird thing of like where his career started.
Right. All right. So, Natalie, our final answer is going to be Earl Campbell.
You are correct.
Yeah, all right.
Nice.
We're doing pretty good. Yeah.
Yes.
All right, you got Jamie Sands in there with Earl Campbell too. So, running back to running back.
I was going to say, does not surprise me that Sands would know that.
Okay. All right, Natalie, what's our next one?
Who holds the record for most rushing yards in one season by an undrafted player?
Oh. I didn't know that qualifier was coming, and I'm like, I think I know this. But
Priest Holmes? It wasn't Priest Holmes undrafted?
I don't know.
Because I thought he was undrafted with the Ravens for a year or two and then left and went to Kansas City.
Right.
And became a big deal in Kansas City.
I think that might be.
Do we even want to narrow it down or should we
let's
just
give
go?
it a shot.
All right, Priest Holmes.
No.
Oh, no. Okay.
Man, the Cowboys just had a huge sack on third down, and there was defensive holding.
Oh, that's rough. All right, Natalie.
I just hate to see it.
How about so you gave us team on the last one. Let's do era specific. Did this player play more recently, like 1990 to present, or did they play earlier, before 1990?
He played in the 2000s.
What about, was Jamal Lewis drafted? See, there's some like...
I thought Jamal Lewis... So...
This one is a hard one.
You said Jamal Lewis. I was thinking Jamal Anderson.
Oh, no, from the Falcons?
Right.
No.
But, yeah, Jamal Lewis...
See, I don't know if some of those guys, like, were they undrafted players? I thought Priest Holmes was undrafted, so...
I thought Jamal Lewis was...
Are you looking it up?
No, I'm not.
No.
Pop texted me.
I thought Jamal Lewis... For some reason, I feel like he played at Miami, but I don't know that. I don't know that. And I feel like if he did play at Miami, I don't see how he could have been undrafted. However, I don't know that he played at Miami. That could just be a thing that's stuck.
Well, I'm trying to think of running backs that were undrafted and then made it big and would have...
He didn't play there in the 2000s. I feel like that. Like, I know, I remember the 2000s.
Well, Jamal Lewis was 2000s.
Right, that's what I mean. Like, I remember him... Or I remember... Yes, but I meant in college. Like,
I got you.
So, like, I remember those Miami teams, and I don't remember him being on those. So,
okay. Well, So we were wrong with Priest Holmes. Man. This one's frustrating.
Yeah, this one
Okay, can you repeat the question again?
Yeah, this one I didn't expect you to get right away. Who holds the record for most rushing yards in one season by an undrafted player?
One season rushing yards by undrafted player. Because Priest Holmes
it's not like, was Peyton Hillis drafted?
I don't know, but would he have rushed for more than Priest Holmes did?
And was he in the 2000s or was he in the teens?
So Priest Holmes played from 97 to 2000 and 2001 to 2007. And he was the rushing yardage leader in 2001. I'm trying to see. So Priest Holmes played at Texas. Yeah, and he was undrafted. So we're looking at someone who rushed for more yards than Priest Holmes did in 2001.
That's pretty impressive that you got the Priest Holmes one,
though. Update.
Did you read it wrong?
This player did play in the 2000s, but he also played in the early to mid
2010.
Yes.
Okay, so actually even more recent in the last, you might not have been alive quite yet.
It says something about 2016. So.
Oh. See, now this is frustrating because it's someone I feel like we should know. Sean Alexander, he was definitely drafted for
He's
out of
not
Alabama.
on a team that we love. He's on one of those okay teams.
Okay, but it's not a team we hate either.
Yeah, it's not a team we hate.
All right. Priest Holmes ran for 1,555 yards that year. So there's another undrafted guy that ran for over almost 1,600 or more yards. I'm trying to think of some of the guys who would have led the league in rushing. More recently, you had guys like Derrick Henry. Back in the 2000s, you had guys like LaDainian Tomlinson. They were all obviously drafted.
Early 2000s.
Late 90s, early 2000s. Curtis Martin, Corey Dillon. I don't know that any of these guys ever led the league. I'm just trying to think of running backs. So Sean Alexander was a good one, but he was definitely drafted out of Alabama, I believe.
He was Alabama.
Yeah. Your mom says, "Oh, we know it's not a Raven." Technically, Priest Holmes was a Raven, but not when he set the record, or what I thought was a record. I always thought it was Priest Holmes. So that one's undrafted running backs. This is going to make me really angry. Well, I feel like we need to narrow it down to a team.
Yeah.
All right, Natalie, what team did he set the record for?
Houston Texans.
Oh, was it Arian Foster?
Oh, it was Arian Foster, wasn't it?
Yes.
Oh, good job. All right, there we go.
I didn't know Arian Foster was undrafted.
Yeah, you're
Actually,
right.
you know what? Yeah, I did, because that was a big thing back when he was still playing.
Yeah. All right, Natalie.
He was really good.
That was a tough one. We should have probably known that one. I should have been able to pull that one out. It's like Priest Holmes. So Arian Foster, does it say how much he rushed for?
How much he rushed for?
Yeah, that season that he led the league or had the most yardage as an undrafted player. Was it 1,600, 1,700 yards? Does it say?
I'm trying to find part.
McCaffrey just scored. San Francisco took the lead.
This is going to be really interesting.
Early fourth quarter. So, all right. Well, if it doesn't say it now, I can find it. So, why don't we move on to another question?
1,616 rushing.
There
we go. So, yes, over 1,600.
So only a little bit more than Priest Holmes.
Yeah, what, 61 yards?
Right.
All right, what's the next one?
Who has the most yards from scrimmage in a season?
Most total yards from scrimmage in a season.
Who has the most yards from scrimmage in a season?
Well, I would think it has to be a running back. Because you're not going to get a ton of rushing yardage from a receiver, but you're going to get a lot more receiving yards from a rusher.
Is it one of those Adrian Peterson years?
Possibly. Could be.
Where he was close to 2,000 some yards rushing and also would have some receiving, I would think.
Could be. Because I don't think Could Christian McCaffrey have done it?
No.
No, because of his injury.
The
Well, first couple of years, though, I thought, like, before he started getting hurt, I thought...
Yeah.
Right,
But those teams weren't very good. But, like,
right,
so, like...
Right.
I don't know.
Do we want to just guess, or we want to narrow it down?
I want to guess Adrian Peterson first.
Okay.
Because, like, it doesn't do me any good to narrow it down without guessing.
Sure.
So I'll try
All right, Adrian Peterson.
No.
No. Is this a more modern player? Like 2000s, 2010s?
He set the record in 2009.
Okay, well, it's not Christian McCaffrey.
No.
2009. Record in 2009.
Does the chat think it's anybody?
Chad has not chimed in on this one yet. So we're looking for the player that has the most yards from scrimmage in a single season.
Yes, in a single season.
So 2009. See, I feel like LaDainian Tomlinson would have been a better option a few years prior to that.
I wasn't thinking through on that. That would be a good guess,
though. It's Chris Johnson.
Yeah.
I think it's Chris Johnson because he rushed for close to or over 2,000 yards in 2009, I believe.
Right.
So he would have added a few hundred yards receiving. Chris Johnson of the Tennessee Titans.
Yes.
Yes. Does it say how many total scrimmage yards he had?
How many total?
Do you know why I know that for sure?
He was on your fantasy.
He was on my fantasy team.
Over 2,000.
Okay. He was on my fantasy team, and when you and I went to the link to watch Drew Brees and the future Super Bowl champion New Orleans Saints beat Kevin Cobb and the Eagles that year, Chris Johnson had a bizarro game.
Yes.
Like, because I remember just like getting updates, and at that time, the cellular was not great, so I was looking at the boards around the link to like update the stats.
Even back then, they would show fantasy
and
stats.
I was just laughing at like the game that Chris Johnson was having. It was absurd. All right, so we did pretty good with that one. What's the next one?
By the way, that was also Mike Vick's first game as an Eagle. Now, he didn't play that game.
Oh, was it really?
Because he was still suspended.
Yeah.
He that was his first game because I remember there were the protesters outside. Two of them.
Your dad guessed Brian Westbrook. That's a good guess.
Yeah.
All right, what's the next one? Next question.
Who is the only player to rush for 1,500 or more yards in 4 straight NFL seasons?
1,500 yards rushing in 4 straight NFL seasons?
Yes. I feel like I asked that one to you.
Well, I feel like you've asked similar ones.
Yeah.
But like I immediately go to like Emmitt Smith and Barry Sanders. And I don't know. Has Derrick Henry done it 4 years in a row?
I don't know.
He got injured last year, so that probably.
But I know last year, even though he was out, he still led the league in rushing, but maybe not at 1,500 yards.
Right.
You know, like because it's so different.
But I also I feel like this is a trivia book. They're not going to repeat a lot of names, and we've already done Jim Brown, Earl Campbell,
right? So you don't
Barry Sanders. I think Derrick Henry may have been an answer earlier. I don't know. I'm going to say LaDainian Tomlinson. No. Okay.
That is a very good guess.
Justin, you wanna give a guess?
I'm gonna say Adrian Peterson.
No.
Okay. Can you give us the year or the time period?
Time period. The 90s.
The 90s. It's Emmitt Smith.
No.
Oh, man.
Is it someone we've talked about already?
Yes.
Barry Sanders.
Yes.
Oh, see,
the better version.
When we make an assumption, what ends up happening?
Right. Yeah.
We're making an assumption that they weren't going to repeat answers, but there we go. Okay, so that makes sense because Barry Sanders was an answer earlier when I forget what was the one you asked me earlier. Barry Sanders was the answer though, so
yeah,
I forget what the question was. All right, what's next?
Well, I asked this one to you.
Don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. That's what your dad said. Preach.
It's the first question I asked you out of this book when I opened it this morning. Who is the running back with the most receiving yards in his NFL career? Let
Uncle Justin.
Most receiving yards in his NFL career.
Yeah. I answered this one already. Are you starting over, or is this just the question?
This is that. That was just the question I flipped to.
Oh, okay, I got you.
I would probably guess LaDainian Tomlinson for this one.
Is that your final answer?
That's my final answer.
No. It's not.
I mean, I'd love to guess Westbrook, but I don't think it was long enough for him to have enough for his career.
No, it's a very well known Super Bowl winning running back. Played for multiple teams, not just one.
But when he set the record, he was for the Rams.
Oh.
Yeah, you know it.
I do know.
Started his career with the Colts.
Yeah, he went from the Colts, went to the Rams.
Yeah.
We've had a guy at Wilson. We had an assembly. This is probably like a decade ago now, of a guy whose locker was next to him.
Let's see. Let's see if the chat can get it before you did.
Yeah,
they are going to get it before I do.
So the question is, what running back has the NFL record for most receiving yards as a running back? And we've already given hints that he started his career with the Colts.
This is one of the
finished with the Rams and won the Super Bowl with the Rams. He is a Hall of Famer.
Yes.
Tell me when they get it.
They're
we'll see. We're waiting for it. See it. There it is. Jamie Sands. Marshall Faulk is the answer. Yes. Marshall Faulk is always a good one. So.
Our 43-yard attempt here.
All right, Nat. What's next?
Who has the most all-purpose yards in one season?
Killed it.
Most all-purpose yards in one season.
He was for the New Orleans Saints.
Alvin Kamara?
No.
All-purpose yards.
Is that like return yards too? Because yards from scrimmage is just receiving and rushing.
He said they called him Mr. Everything.
Because I was going to say, could it be Reggie Bush? Because he was he was punt and kick returner.
Yeah.
Running back and receiving yards. That's
not it.
For the Saints.
It's not counting passing yards, right?
Right. This isn't a quarterback question, right?
I don't think he's a quarterback.
I feel like you would know.
Read the question again.
Who has the most all-purpose yards in one season?
Like in the history of the NFL.
In the history of the NFL.
And he played for the Saints.
Yes. 2011, he set the record.
And it's not Reggie Bush.
It's not Reggie Bush.
It is not Reggie Bush.
Was it Deuce McAllister?
Oh. That's a good one. That's a good one. Did you hear Uncle Justin?
What did he say?
He said Deuce McAllister.
Actually, it is not.
Oh, gosh.
Well, now I'm really confused.
Does the chat
Jamie Sands is also said Reggie Bush and Deuce McAllister. I mentioned Alvin Kamara more recently. It's not Mark Ingram. I can't. It
is not Mark Ingram.
Right.
Yeah, Sands says he's out. I'm just the Saints thing throws me off because I can't think of who would have been a great Saints player in 2011.
So I'm trying to think. Is it maybe a receiver?
Right. Is it Marcus Colston?
I feel like that was more recent than 2000.
He joined the Philadelphia Eagles for 2014.
Oh, it's the small running back.
Darren Sproles.
Yes.
Oh, nice. Okay. I could not. Kansas State, right?
Yeah.
I could not think of his name. He was the.
Darren Sproles spent some time talking to the undersized Kansas State running back this year.
He retired after the 2019 season.
Yeah, he played for a long time.
Yeah.
I didn't realize he had that big of a year in 2011.
Good for him.
Yeah, why not?
Also a fan because he came to the Eagles.
All right, what's next?
Who has the most career receiving yards for a tight end?
Career?
Yes. Career.
Tony Gonzalez?
Yes.
Yeah. For now.
I was going to say, I know Antonio Gates was chasing him, but I believe Gonzalez kept that record.
I've asked you this one. So.
You asked me this one?
Yes.
All right, we'll ask it to Uncle Justin then.
Who holds the mark for longest kick return?
Oh, is it Devin Hester?
No.
Oh.
Nope.
Just by sheer volume, I was going.
Yeah, no. She's asked me a few, and I was like, Devin Hester, Dante Hall, Cordero Patterson. This is the one. He plays for the Ravens, right?
No.
Oh, okay. I'm getting my kick return questions confused then.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, there was one with the Ravens that I asked you at the kitchen table before the party.
What?
Give Uncle Justin the team.
What's the team?
The Vikings.
He's still active.
Yeah, he is still active.
Who's he play for now? Do you know?
Oh my God, I don't know if he was traded, but I know what cards I.
No, if you opened his card this year, he's still on that team.
Okay. Yes. I do have him.
Do you remember what team?
Now, Joey said...
Is it the Giants?
No, it's not the Giants.
Joey said Cordell Patterson. That would be my guess.
Yes.
Okay, because I know he played for the Vikings.
Yeah, that's who he was drafted by. It's as a wide receiver and kick returner.
He's kind of been like a...
He's kind of a slash player, yeah.
But really, honestly, the kick returning, he was great in Minnesota, but he's kind of a better all-around player in Atlanta.
In Atlanta, yeah.
On a bad team.
He has played for a few other teams between Minnesota and Atlanta. And he may have played for the Giants for a year. I don't know.
The first sentence is, on the first play of a 2013 game between the Minnesota Vikings and the Green Bay Packers, Cordero Patterson of the Vikings broke the record for the longest kick return in NFL history with a 109-yard return for a touchdown.
As long as it's going to get.
And as long as it's against the Packers. All right, so what's the next one?
Who has the record for most passing yards by a rookie?
Most passing yards by a rookie.
Okay.
Dan Marino. I guess his big year was his second year.
I'm just trying to think through this.
Oh, when did they kick a field goal?
No, you heard Uncle Justin say he's making a 42-yard attempt.
47-yarder.
So now he's missed an extra point, but has kicked 2 field goals.
Now, the extra point was blocked, but a lot of people feel like he was going to miss by yards to the left because it was not a good kick.
All right. So, rookie quarterbacks. I feel like if it wasn't Marino, I feel like this is probably a 2000s and on person.
Yeah, well, I'd be surprised if it's not. Ooh, that's a good guess in the chat.
Oh, what did he say?
Now, yes, because and I'm kind of thinking of the fantasy side here, where it doesn't necessarily mean they won a lot of games their first year, but they throw a lot. So someone like Peyton Manning or Andrew Luck would be really good guesses.
Yeah, I think that's a good one, and we still have to work out getting Andy on the show.
Yes,
we owe him from last March Madness, so I think I'm gonna talk to him about some dates in February that we can get him on the show and talk some sports with Andy. But he puts a good one out there, and we're gonna roll with it. How about Andrew Luck? Oh, very good.
Job.
All right, Andy.
Winning all kinds of contests.
Oh, yeah. He's our go-to. If we want to know what's happening in college basketball or rookie quarterbacks, we go to Andy Hofford. College basketball, interesting. The March Madness is going to be absolutely bonkers because how many teams could possibly win? 15?
Yeah.
20? Because no one wants
Houston
to hold on to the number
Houston
one.
Got beat by Temple today.
By Temple.
Kansas got smoked earlier this week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right, Natalie, what's next?
Who has the record for most... Wait, I'm rereading the question. Who has rushed for the most yards in one quarter?
Most yards in a quarter? Oh.
So, listen, I know this isn't the answer, but LaShawn McCoy had an insane second half in that Snow Bowl game I went to. I think he rushed for over 200 yards in that game and did not rush a lot in the first half. I'm not saying it's LaShawn McCoy, but those are the types of games that it could be.
This one, there's no way I can pull this out of my head without any kind of help. So
I'm gonna guess LaShawn McCoy just because I'm guessing before we cross something off. No. Then that's fine. That's
all
fine.
right, give us the team.
The Chiefs on September 23rd, 2012.
Oh,
Priest Holmes. No. Okay. Jamal Charles.
Yes.
Yeah. The next Priest Holmes.
Yeah, the one that took over for him.
In the third quarter of a game against the New Orleans Saints on September 23rd, 2012, then his 162 yards in that quarter.
In one quarter.
Included a 91-yard touchdown that cut the Saints' lead to 21-13, and it sparked the Chiefs' impressive comeback.
I was going to say, he had 162 yards in a quarter and the Chiefs were losing. Well, this is pre-Andy Reid, so they were. Was that during the time where they didn't have a wide receiver with a touchdown in like 2 years or something like that? Like Dwayne Bowe.
Yes.
All right, Natalie, what else you got for us?
Who has the most rushing yards by a quarterback in one game?
In a single game?
Yes.
Single game rushing by a quarterback? Well, Michael Vick was the first quarterback to rush for 1,000
2011.
yards.
We're talking 2011.
Okay, so it's not Lamar.
No.
No, it is not Lamar.
That scared me.
So it's not Lamar Jackson. He wasn't in the league yet. Vic was still in the league in 2011. What other quarterback was a big into rushing? I feel like I'm gonna need the team because I can't imagine. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
What would he have been doing that in 2011 though? Because he would have been.
He might have been out of the league already.
Yeah, I was gonna say because his first year in the league was what 07?
Something like that.
Watch, she'll be like Tennessee Titans. All right, what team, Natalie?
The team.
The
49ers.
Jeff Garcia. Oh, Colin Kaepernick.
Yes.
Oh man.
Oh man.
So I knew he ran. I didn't know he ran that much.
I guess Garcia would have been in 2011. I feel like he played forever
you see
too.
him popping up on interviews lately.
He's
still jacked.
What's up?
You're gonna get this one first guess.
Oh, don't do that.
No
to me.
pressure.
Oh, no.
No pressure.
Who has the record for most seasons with 4,000 or more passing yards?
Dan Marino.
What?
Why not? It's one of those losers that have passed him since then. Read it again. How many?
Who has the record for most seasons with 4,000 or more passing yards played for the Broncos?
John Elway.
Peyton Manning.
Peyton
Yes,
Manning. Oh, play for the Broncos. That kind of throws me off a little bit. So I was gonna say it's got to be either Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, or Tom Brady. Like those.
Yeah.
If it's not Marino, those are the five that I'm
Right.
going to. I know for a lot of the other quarterback things, Elway comes up, Montana comes up, Bradshaw comes up. Terry Bradshaw was the answer earlier. Who was the first quarterback to win 4 Super Bowls? Was that one? Uncle Rich said Steve Young, so that would have been a good.
That's a good guess.
So that's a good guess, both for the rushing quarterback and the passing yardage one.
Yes.
Okay, why don't we do another?
All right.
You got another one for us?
Yep. Who has the most interceptions in a single season?
It's not Peyton Manning.
Are you talking quarterback or like the defensive? Well,
Oh yeah, you're talking about interceptions thrown.
Interceptions thrown.
Like, is the answer a quarterback, or are we looking for a defender?
I need to see if it's size.
Okay. I feel like.
Well, by career, I believe it's Brett Favre, isn't it? In his career, Brett Favre's thrown
Can
the
you
most
repeat the question? Like just the question in general.
Oh. He was a receiver, and then he was a defensive back.
Oh, so it is the defensive version. Who has most career interception? Was it someone like Darryl Green or Champ Bailey?
50s.
50s. Okay.
Man.
1950s.
Wide receiver.
Wide receiver turned defensive back.
I figure in the 1950s they just just stay out there, flip over, flip the other side of the ball.
I don't even know if it's worth asking for a team because I don't know that I could pull out a 50s era defensive back.
I may know the name,
right?
But
yeah.
I'm not going to be able to guess it.
All right, I think you stumped us on this one.
On this one?
Yeah.
Dick Night Train.
Oh, Night Train Lane.
Yeah, but I wouldn't have guessed
never
it.
would have gotten that. No, I never would have gotten. Where were you in that one, Uncle Rich? Come
to be
on.
honest, I kind of expected Sands to type in and get that one.
All right, we can't end
I'm
on.
I'm not saying that jokingly. I feel like that's something he would have known.
Well, we can't end on that note. So let's keep going. Let's go with another one. Hit us with another one.
Who led the NFL in rushing yards in 2021? Colts.
Then you.
Colts.
Oh, Jonathan Taylor.
Yes.
Again, fantasy football stars, man. You got these guys.
Not this year. He screwed me over. All right, next.
You want
Colts,
next?
the Colts.
They screwed
worked hard,
everyone
yeah.
over.
Who was first to reach 1,000 rushing and 1,000 receiving yards in one NFL season?
The first person to do it?
Yes.
1,000 rushing and 1,000 receiving.
1983. He said his name is going to become a great football player very soon. In 84,
when did Dickerson play?
he led
Right.
his team, the 49ers.
Oh.
I was thinking like Eric Dickerson, maybe Bo Jackson.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't. You said for the 49ers.
Yes, the 49ers.
Trying to think of my Tecmo Bowl,
Right, yeah. All right, we're looking for an 80s running back.
This guy is a running back, yes. Said even though he was a running back.
Well, I kind of assumed it was going to be a running back because the
receiver's
receiver,
not gonna
yeah.
have 1,000.
So he would have been playing with Joe Montana and Jerry Rice, right? In the mid 80s. Oh, there. Yeah, thank you, Uncle Rich. How about Roger Craig?
Yes.
Yeah, there we go. And Jamie Sands got it too. There we go. Roger Craig, yes. Yes, that makes sense.
And I believe he was on Tecmo Bowl.
So why didn't you have that one?
Still loading.
All right.
Who has the Packers record for most career passing yards? Is this the last one you want, or?
We're getting close to needing to cut it out, so we'll see. We'll see.
This can be the last one, and then we can talk about what happened in the other games yesterday. And
Okay, we can do that, and then. Well, I would really like to get this one.
I mean, I have two good guesses.
Well, right. It has to be Aaron Rodgers or Brett Favre. Did Rodgers pass
not Jordan Love.
Favre? Not yet. Check back in 15 years when he's the next in a long line of prima donna quarterbacks in Green Bay.
Yeah, in 15 years when he's forcing his way out to go somewhere else.
All right.
That's what they do, to go to the Jets. I feel like it's got to be Brett Favre.
You think it's still Favre?
Yeah.
All right, Brett Favre.
Yes.
All right, it's still Favre. Well, that's why Rodgers got to come back.
Because I just feel like Favre is so far up on those
the answer
those
to
career
the next
totals.
one is Josh Allen.
Well, I definitely don't want you to ask that question. All right, so that's a good segue, though. Josh Allen, look, I feel like I don't know how to say this without sounding like a
Dolphins fan.
a Dolphins fan.
Why?
But see, it's okay because you are a Dolphins fan.
I know.
You're not wrong. Like,
I
you
feel
are a Dolphins fan.
I know. I'm not lying about that. I feel like the drooling over Josh Allen is a bit too much for me. because I don't honestly I don't have him in the same. Like he's not Patrick Mahomes, and I know last year he played insane, and I guess it's hard for me to say that Josh Allen isn't the reason that they're losing some of their games that they've lost this year.
Well, he had a ton of turnovers this year.
And I don't know. No matter what I say, it'll be taken poorly because I'm a Dolphins fan and I don't like the Bills.
So the thing is, like, the Bills had a fine season. The problem is the Bills are at a point where a fine season's not going to cut it anymore.
Right.
And
2 years in a row now, they didn't even make the AFC Championship game.
Right.
And they're Super Bowl contenders, if not favorites, especially this year.
Right. And so you look at it, I think they really missed Von Miller today, more than they have in some of the other games. But I think two things can be true. I think the Bills underachieved for the year, and specifically microcosm today. But the Bengals are good. The Bengals,
right?
I know it's weird to say they're not flashy because they have Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, but like it wasn't a flashy win today. You're not going to get a ton of flashy wins in Buffalo, like in that weather. But you have that win today. They dominated.
And I know, and someone, I can't remember if it was a broadcaster or an analyst, brought up that actually I want to say it was Greg Cosell on the Ross Tucker show, said that Buffalo doesn't have good offensive personnel. Like, they have average offensive personnel.
And they were talking about this before this morning. They're like, if Stephon Diggs is not going off, they don't, like, their offense is in trouble.
Right. And I know Gabe Davis is a flash in the pan, has a couple big games just like last year against Kansas City, but they have Stephon Diggs and who else? Like, it's Josh Allen and Diggs. Dawson Knox, okay, is a top 10 tight end, but he's not Travis Kelce.
They should have been able to establish a run game, and they haven't been able to for years, other than Josh Allen.
Right. Devin Singletary is a guy. They got Nyheim Hines, who is more of a special teams
with that
guy.
Team, with Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen, tight ends, a guy should be enough. And
it's not.
And it's not.
So, and honestly, this probably is a...
And in part, Cincinnati's good. Cincinnati could win next week.
Honestly, right now, with a hobbled Mahomes who's going to try to play through...
Right.
Do you, honestly, I almost look at it as I think this is Cincinnati's game to lose.
Oh, I agree. I don't know that they'll actually be favored, but to me, it would be an upset if the Chiefs win. And that's not a knock on the Chiefs, but Patrick, and I know it's not the same, but they beat the Chiefs when Mahomes was healthy. Why would I think they're not going to when Mahomes is not?
Now without Tyreek Hill, the Chiefs are interesting offensively.
They're very interesting.
Much like the Bills, who do they have? They have one receiver.
Yeah.
Who's a tight end. It's Mahomes and Kelce and Allen and Diggs.
Right.
Because all of their other guys are just guys.
They're guys.
The Chiefs are getting more out of their running backs because Pacheco looks good and Jerick McKinnon has come on, whereas I don't think Devin Singletary and James Cook have done much for the Bills.
Right.
But the Bengals, the same thing. The Bengals have the best offensive playmakers of any of those three teams.
It will be interesting because the Bills notoriously all year couldn't get a pass rush on anyone, especially after they lost Von Miller. Specifically after they lost Von Miller.
Which is shocking because of the draft capital they've invested there.
The Chiefs tend to be able to pressure on passing. The rest of the defense is a huge question mark, but a lot of that can be hidden if those injuries that are on the offensive line for the Cincinnati persist into next week. That could just be an interesting path in terms of how that's going to play out. Hit the 2-minute warning. San Francisco just got a first down.
Ooh, okay. Well, I don't know. So the Bills, this was a lost season for the Bills. They now have wasted 2 of Josh Allen's prime years. Yeah. Now, obviously, quarterbacks can play a lot longer than their mid-30s, but when you play the way he does, he's not going to play till he's 40. At least not that way.
No.
They need to get more offensive playmakers. It cannot just be Stephon Diggs. They either need to increase their offensive line to help Devin Singletary and James Cook, or they need to bring in a stud running back to pair with Josh Allen.
I feel like build the line. If you build the line, then running back is a heck of a lot easier to find. Because then you have options at running back, not just to skip to another game last night. And I love Miles Sanders, but Eagles got it done with 3 different running backs last night. And now Sanders set the tone early and often in that game, and that was great. But Miles, Boston Scott, giant killer, and then you had
Kenneth
Gainwell slicing through him at the end, and why? Because the line was just leaning on people, man.
Yeah, well, we heard all season about how good the Giants' interior defensive line was with Dexter Lawrence
just went
and Leonard Williams.
Because there wasn't a lot of show, especially early on. They were running right up the gut.
Well, and even off the edge with Kayvon Thibodeau, I don't think any of those guys had sacks or tackle for losses.
No.
They were
Thibodeau, when lined up over Lane Johnson, had 0 pressures and 0 sacks and Lane Johnson, who has a torn tendon in his hip, and Kelsey, same thing up the middle. It
wasn't happening.
No.
And so,
but Buffalo, I think the line is how you fix it, because with the line, then it helps you get all that other stuff going.
I think with that performance, I think it skyrocketed to the Eagles to the top of the list of Super Bowl favorites again.
Let's hope.
Because it had been a little rough the last month, just with injuries and their play. And
right. I have to point out, though, and I think I pointed this out to you in our texts, and I was guilty of it. I was worried about the Eagles so-called having to beat a team 3 times, And even though it's been pointed out multiple times this past week that 2/3 of the time the team who won both games in the regular season also wins that 3rd matchup. Which is pretty good in playoffs, a 2/3 thing, especially in the NFL playoffs, I feel like. But then you go from there, everybody was talking about the hot Giants. The hot Giants, with that Eagles game included, finished the season 3-7-1 over their last 11.
I said this to my dad today.
They weren't that hot.
I said, remember, they started 6-2. They finished, 9-8? That's 3-6 down the stretch.
Right.
Or they weren't. No, there was a tie in there.
Our buddy Jake,
they were 9-7-1
out to me. He's like, they're not hot.
No. Now
I was scared because it's the playoffs. There's just so much on it, and what the Eagles had been shaky at best over the last month.
The only thing to throw water on the Eagles' fire and douse those flames is the 49ers are not the Giants.
Right.
The 49ers are not the Giants. The 49ers are in good position to win their 12th in a row.
Right.
They're going to have to come to Philly for sure, but they're the best team the Eagles have played since Dallas, I guess.
Yeah, and it's hard because Dallas, those 2 games are so weird.
Right, because both teams were missing a quarterback.
Right.
Each time they played.
Right.
So, I certainly think the Eagles will be the favorite, especially because it's at home. No matter who they play, whether it's Dallas or San Francisco, but it's looking like it's going to be the 49ers.
Why would you run out of bounds? Just dive in bounds.
So, all right, Natalie, let's before we wrap up, let's ask you these final questions. If the NFC Championship game is between Philadelphia and San Francisco, who do you think will win?
I got to go the 49ers.
You're picking the 49ers to win the NFC Championship. Okay. In the AFC Championship, we have the Cincinnati Bengals visiting the Kansas City Chiefs. Who do you think will win?
Who do you think
will win?
Chiefs.
Okay, so you think it's going to be 49ers Chiefs,
I
a
could very
rematch
well be
from a
wrong
few years
because
ago?
Can we talk about how last week I got all of them right, and this week it looks like I'm gonna get all of them right again, all my predictions.
Are you going to be perfect again 2 weeks in a row?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, because
well, that
I
doesn't-
guess I guess
That's not what Uncle Justin wants to hear right now.
I guess the Chiefs,
Regression
the
to the mean
Eagles,
next
the
week, please.
Bengals, and the
Regression to the mean.
49ers. Those are the people I guessed.
All right, well, you heard it here.
You're gonna make me root against the 10-year-old on her birthday. Is that what we're
exactly
doing?
what
Here?
you're saying right now, yeah.
Oh gosh.
So Natalie was perfect on her playoff picks if the 49ers can hold on for a minute and 41 seconds. Natalie will be back-to-back perfect and leading our family confidence pool.
Yes.
And she is saying it will be 49ers over Eagles in Philadelphia, but Chiefs over Bengals in Kansas City, which sets up a rematch from, 3 years ago, where the 49ers should have had a Super Bowl win, and Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs came back to win. That one was in February 2020. That was the Chiefs' first Super Bowl victory in 50 years.
I'd be okay if Shanahan had one of those epic collapses next week. I mean, honestly, I would rather it not happen and the Eagles just win like in the fashion they beat the Giants yesterday. But if he has one of those where they just like refuse to run the ball in the second half for some reason and the Eagles take advantage of that, I'd be okay with that.
So Adam just said, good thing she doesn't participate in the regular season pick'em this year.
Yeah,
she already said mid this year, she was like, I want to play next year.
That's what happened with Austin last year. Remember, the last third of the season, I was like, I'm just sending you his picks so he'll stop bothering me. He's not actually.
That's
in it,
right.
but,
Yeah,
like,
the last few weeks he
right.
sent them to me.
Right. And this year he just crushed me, along with virtually everyone else that didn't forget to send in picks, even some of them that almost did.
We both had bad years this year. You had a really bad year, which is funny because you picked the teams really well before the season.
A 10-year-old won over you.
Oh,
that's in this right
yeah,
now. We're not over
You're
yet.
crushing me in this too.
You can't be bragging yet.
Yeah, I can brag even if I.
I have these discussions with Austin all the time about how
2 weeks in a row.
Right, like Austin will just
That's
like
insane.
yeah, like he will like say like, oh, we're like the best team. I'm like, oh my gosh, why would you say that? Like why?
Knock on wood.
Or like
right.
or like when like Penn State is playing like a clearly inferior team, Austin will be like, oh, they're absolutely going to win. I'm like, Austin,
don't say that.
Right, like you can't say that. You're driving
he
me
hasn't
nuts.
been struck down enough by fandom yet.
Right,
Till you always you don't say that.
Well,
you don't
to
say
be
that.
fair, he started rooting for the Bengals and they got good. I mean, if I had that kind of like confidence in that'd be amazing. But
All right. Well, we're here at the end. I think it is time for us to wrap up. So, Natalie, thank you for joining us and thank you for quizzing us on NFL trivia. It was a lot of fun. I think we still have some pages left in your book that you received for your birthday today. So we'll make sure to run through that, and we'll have to have you on again sometime. Your book's upside down if you're trying to show it off. There we go. That's like Sports Illustrated Kids, Big Book of Who, football, and who's on that front cover there, Natalie?
That's Patrick Mahomes.
There you go. So, still have the opportunities to see the Chiefs back in the Super Bowl. I'm sure they're excited to try to avenge their loss in the AFC Championship game last year to the
Cowboys
Cincinnati
are getting the ball
Bengals.
back because Mitchell ran out of bounds on that first down
It
play.
looks like they're
All right, well, game's not over, but
51 seconds.
we're going to finish up here so that we can finish watching this game. But thank you, Natalie, for joining us, and happy birthday, sweetie.
Yeah,
10
happy
years.
birthday.
I hope you have a great day at school tomorrow, and I hope you had a wonderful birthday today. I hope you enjoyed your party.
Yes, I did.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Justin, anything else from you? Any shout-outs or mentions?
No.
We will be back in 2 weeks. We are not going to have a show next week. We will continue to celebrate Natalie's birthday with Kelly's family next weekend. So we will be once again watching the AFC and NFC championship games with them 2 years in a row. So it'll be exciting to hang out and watch those games next week.
Grandma said happy birthday.
And a lot of people have said happy birthday. So we're going to hang out with the Rosses, watch the games next Sunday. And Justin and I will be back then the following Sunday, which will be February 5th. And that's when we will do our Super Bowl preview and get caught up to speed with a few things. I would like to maybe do a show the following Saturday, the day before the Super Bowl as well. We're going to reach out to Andy Hoffert in our chat tonight, our defending March Madness champion. He is due an appearance on the show. He has his shirt. I gave him his shirt last year, sometime last spring or summer, but he is owed an appearance on the show. And yes, before I go, there are a few more birthday shout-outs I want to give. One of them is for my cousin's daughter, Peyton. She's celebrating on the 27th, so a little less than a week. And also my cousin Andrew has a birthday coming up this week as well. Hopefully I'm not forgetting anybody. I don't have the calendar up in front of me, but happy birthday to Natalie and all those celebrating this week and the week after, as we won't be back until February 5th. But we appreciate you all tuning in. Natalie is a pretty big draw, so we'll have to have her back to quiz us again, Justin, sometime soon. And
and the way she picks things, she'll probably start winning some contests and get on here soon.
Eventually it's going to be the Joe Mays and J-Raff show featuring Natalie.
Yes, yes.
The Joe Mays.
And I know one of our
Natalie show
regular listeners would be perfectly fine with that, as he's politicking for me to be off the show every week. So.
Yeah, I'm surprised I don't have a message to say it should just be the Joe and Natalie show.
Right.
The Joe Nat show.
All right. Well,
Joe Nat.
There's like 20. We're like in the same thing as last year. We're coming down to the wire with them having no time running down the field.
Maybe Dak will run a sneak here.
And then can go into overtime.
They're going to have to pick up a whole bunch out of bounds.
So the Niners should have sacked him for a safety, but they just blew the tackle. He hit him instead of wrapping him up.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get out of here so we can finish this off and get you off to bed, kiddo. So thanks for tuning in, everyone. We appreciate it. Happy birthday to Natalie, and we'll be back again in 2 weeks. Enjoy the AFC and NFC championship games next weekend.
Bye.
See ya.
That's a wrap on this episode of the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show, brought to you by Mays Sandwich Shop. Woo-hoo! You can watch each weekly episode live on Facebook, Periscope, or YouTube. Be sure to like, follow, or subscribe to the show on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, and Google Play. You can also rate and review us on many of these platforms as well. We'd love to hear from you. Send your emails to the Mays Sandwich Shop inbox at joemaysandjraff@gmail.com. The Joe Mays and J-Raff Show is a part of the JMNJR Radio Network, home to other productions such as the Bulldog Hour, Tangents with Friends, and Nat Chats with Dad. Until next time.